Good afternoon. Welcome to the August 28th meeting of the Raleigh Housing Authority Board of Commissioners. Glenn, do you want to do a roll call?
Yes. Eric Braun,
Here.
Evan Covington Chavez,
Here.
Valerie Crutchfield, Susan Ellinger, here, Veronica Goodwin. Don't see her yet. Arnie Morris. Not yet. Bahati Matizia. Greg Warren,
Here.
Bill Whitehouse.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Right. So that brings us to our public comment period. We allow members of the public 3 minutes to discuss any item or matter that they would like to bring before the board that is also not on the agenda as a specific item. So at this point, I'll open it up to see if we have anyone from the public that would like to provide comments. Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and may be enacted by one motion and a second. If a commissioner requests that an item be removed from the consent agenda, we'll remove it and consider it as a separate item. The vote will be a roll call vote. Glenn?
Now we need a motion and a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Do we have a motion? Well, I'll move that we approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Eric Braun,
Yes.
Evan Covington Chavez,
Yes.
Valerie Crutchfield.
Yes.
Susan Ellinger.
Yes.
Greg Warren,
Yes.
Bill Whitehouse.
Yes.
Consent agenda has been adopted.
Report of the chair, I do not have a report. Board secretary.
Step here.
Yes, share your screen.
Good afternoon, commissioners and public. I will be today provide an abbreviated report.
Doesn't look like it's in presenter mode. There it is. Like on the screen. Right under the visualization.
Right here.
It's got the search. Icons directly under the slide.
Just sure.
Okay, I think I'll just go on. from here. So I'm providing an abbreviated report, mainly because we have two substantive reports to provide the board today. The first report will be a quarterly financial review provided by Liz Edgerton. The board has a function of approving the agency budget, and then a related function of oversight. And so quarterly reports, financial reports, one means for the board to provide oversight. So Liz will provide her report directly after I speak. The second report is our strategic engagement plan report, or also referred to as sometimes as communications plan. The board has a function of developing a strategic plan, and our strategic plan includes the communications plan and the strategic engagement plan. And so from time to time, it's our plan and habit to report on matters related to the strategic plan. So today, the communications report will cover the period since our strategic engagement manager, Katie Librato, joined RHA in 2023, 2 years ago. Another matter that I just want to speak briefly about is part of our strategic plan, our real estate, and specifically related to repositioning. Our plan is to reposition all of our public housing under one of two federal HUD programs. The board previously approved an application under the RHA demonstration for Glenwood to be converted to project-based vouchers. Recently, HUD approved the first phase of the application process, and today we'll be bringing to the board a resolution about Glenwood, and that is to provide residents of Glenwood with a preference for Section 8, so that they can go to the top of the waiting list, so that they can start moving out of the building if that is what they want to do. However, we do have conditions at Glenwood that are of an emergency nature, and so we want to provide those residents with the highest preference to be relocated to other properties, but specifically the Section 8 program. We've had an incident at the beginning of last week where we lost up to 20 units due to plumbing failure in the building. And so the situation at Glenwood is urgent, and so we want to treat it with that level of urgency. So Jennifer Morgan will present a resolution to provide such a preference for the residents of Glenwood. Lastly, I want to just make some remarks about our maintenance operations. From time to time, boards of housing authorities get contacted about issues related to maintenance, and that does happen here. But I do want to just present a couple of pieces of information to provide some understanding of our maintenance operations and how we try to take care of our residents. So the first Okay. So this slide provides an overview of maintenance work orders over the past 12 months, from sometime in August last year, 28th of August till yesterday. If you look way over here, under the total, we completed 34,000 work orders over this 12 months. So that's a substantial number. If you go across the top from right to left, this is a sliver of the third quarter of last year. And then the fourth quarter, the first quarter of this year, whoops. Up there. Okay, so the first quarter of this year, the second quarter, and most of the third quarter is gone. There's still 1/3 left. But if you move from right to left across the top, you will notice that in the fourth quarter of last year, 7,346 work orders were completed. The next quarter, slightly more, but then a massive increase in the second quarter of this year. And we're on pace to exceed the number of work orders completed in the current quarter. So I want to just kind of make the point that we've had a significant amount of increase in maintenance, partly due to HUD inspections that identified matters to be addressed. But this is a volume of work that we do. I want to point out in the next slide that we pay particular attention to the work orders that are generated by maintenance calls from our residents. So we track these. We have goals in terms of turnaround time for routine work orders. For routine work orders, our goal is an average of 3 or less for urgent work orders. The number of days is 3, and that's not an average. We don't want those to be incomplete for more than 3 days, and emergencies within 24 hours. So as you can see, emergencies on the average 0.7 days completion time. Urgent work orders 1.7 hours, 1.7 days, and then routine work orders, we are missing the target. We did very well in the third month of this year in March, 2.2 days. And as we encountered or experienced the effects of all the HUD inspections of our properties, it slowed down. But generally, we do a great job when it comes to responsiveness to our residents, 3.3 days overall on the average. And we do a good job, and the staff are taking on and progressively taking on more work with not an increase in the staffing level. But so sometimes, and this is kind of partly the point that I want to make, that our system of keeping track of things and monitoring on a daily basis what is open, sometimes some fall through the cracks, but generally I am proud of the work that the maintenance staff do, and we are learning from experiences where we may not be turning work orders around quickly. In the summertime, HVAC work orders are particularly troublesome, and sometimes we have to just replace AC units, and we do have a contractor to do that. And so the board, I believe, did hear about one of our customers. I'm happy to say that for AC, HVAC needs, the air conditioning needs have been met, and is very happy with that. With that, I want to turn my report time over to Liz, who will provide the first quarter financial review. Hey, IT person.
Well, as you're getting set up, I just wanted to ask a question. You just mentioned the HUD inspections. Was that in? Was that like kind of a one-time event that they came in and did some inspections? That was not the normal course.
So HUD changed its protocols to a new protocol. It's called Inspire, and housing authorities have always had HUD inspections, RHA inspections, and those quality control inspections. But this is the first year that all of our properties will be inspected by HUD, and they're doing a thorough job with new protocols. So those inspections have generated well over 2,000 inspections, and so we're playing catch up with those work orders. And I'm confident that, once we start working through those, we'll settle into the routine work orders being turned around in less than 3 days, like they were in February and in March. And that's when the inspections started, and they crept up a little bit to over 4 days.
Okay, so mostly just a new system, a new approach.
A new system, yes. And so those inspections, because this is the first time that all of the properties are going through them, they will not be counted in our evaluation under FAS this year.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to be presenting our RHA income statements for the various RHA programs. I will be updating you with our revenue amounts for the operation of each program, as well as the expenditures and the overall net income amounts. For each statement, I'm going to highlight a couple of variances that may need some further explanation. Then I will pause at the end of each slide for any questions that you may have. I did meet with the Audit and Finance Committee last week, wasn't it? Yes, last week, the days flew by. I did present this package to them last week, and we kind of walked through it. The first slide program that I'm going to be discussing is our public housing program. As you notice across the top of each slide, I have added the summarization of the income and the expenses and the net income for easy viewing. For the public housing, you'll see that we have income of 2.71 million, and we are showing a net income for the program of 258,000. For the fiscal year ending 2026, I'm going to talk about the employee line next. The agency continues to fill our newly budgeted positions and some vacant positions across the organization. Because of this, our actual expense is lower than our budgeted amount. This information will be true for each of the other statements that we're going to be seeing. So I won't mention that on each slide, but I do want to bring it up on this slide. Also, as a side note, over the past 6 months, we have experienced lower levels of attrition in our staffing. So as we continue to work towards that strategic goal of hiring staff and retaining staff, the variance through the employee line should start to diminish as we budget for fully staffed positions for the year. All right, the next one I would like to highlight is our tenant services. We are below budget in our public housing program. This is due to tenant relocation costs coming in under budget. This relocation cost would be related to not the redevelopment side, but rather for temporary placement of residents in hotels for operational repairs. And then the next line I'm going to highlight is going to be our contract line. The increase in contract costs is primarily driven by plumbing repairs and flooring work across all of our public housing sites, with Glenwood and Kentwood representing the largest impact. Again, this supports the strategic goal of the agency to continue to reposition our current public housing stock through RHA conversions as we move forward with our Glenwood property. So these are the three lines I'm going to talk about. I'll pause for a minute and see if there's any questions. Okay. So our next program we're going to look at is the voucher program. This statement is for our voucher program that includes the HCV, the emergency housing, and HCV being our housing choice vouchers, our emergency housing vouchers, and the mod rehab program. This statement is also only showing operational income through the admin fees. We have left off of this statement the HAP portion as it comes in as income, but is expensed out immediately to our landlords, so we did not include that as a supplemental food. The total income for the admin fee section, operational income for this is $1.2 million. Again, we're seeing a net income for this program of approximately $216.5 or 0.6. The first line that we're going to look at is our other income. It is showing a variance of $41,000. It is over budget due primarily to income discrepancies. The next line I'm going to highlight is going to be our contract costs. We did budget for replacement of flooring in the leased housing department. So that's why you're seeing a higher budget than we've expended, because we have not yet expended that money for the flooring replacement. And then the last line I would like to draw your attention to is the general line, where our outgoing court admin fees were budgeted at $12,000 for the quarter, but the expenditures, the actual is only about $18,000. That accounts for, so the $13,000 variance is due to that variance, mostly in the outgoing court admin fees.
And can I ask a question?
Yes.
The outgoing, and the outgoing is down because other housing authorities have absorbed our voucher holders, and
That is right, and I think that is something that is recommended,
right.
when we're in short. Any questions on this slide? All right, so our next statement we're going to look at is our central cost center. And again, I have shown the total income across the screen at 1.34 million. Our total expenses at 1.25 million, and our net income is about 83,000. All right, the first line we're going to talk about is our fee income. we are showing a variance of about 10%. The fee income is below budget due to some vacant positions, which includes a full-time plumbing position. There are also other entries. I know, they're also included in this line some, our markup on inventory and some overall management. And then the second line I would like to point out is the insurance. We did budget this year for our cybersecurity insurance. We are currently receiving bids from our broker to secure this coverage, but we haven't yet actually incurred any expenses. So therefore, our budgeted number is higher, but we do anticipate procuring that here soon.
Liz, on that, I know we were in the process before the cyber attack we had. Did we get any quotes beforehand? I'm just curious if now that we've kind of gone to the cloud and we've done some things, I'm assuming that the quotes are gonna be a little more, I know it's never cheap for that kind of insurance, but I'm assuming now that we've gotten into best practices now that are gonna be a little more affordable or reasonable.
We did we did get some quotes prior to, we did have to answer a questionnaire, so we would have had to talk about the last incident. But at the same time, as you said, our IT department's been very busy and have put in some protections for us that the insurance companies, recommend. We did a cybersecurity study prior. They gave us some good recommendations, and so we did implement some of those practices.
Okay.
And so we will have something to compare it against once, we get these new quotes.
Greg Warren has a question.
Okay.
Hey Liz, could you just explain again one more time? I've heard this many times, but I think I forgot it. What is the central cost center exactly? What does that include? Is that the public housing element, or is this I'll let you explain it.
All right, so the central cost center is for expenses. I like to refer to them as more indirect costs. It is not public housing. It covers all of our programs. It is defederalized money. The fees that we're earning are driven by employees that are used across all of the programs and properties. So the staffing usually includes a lot of administrative staff, or it may include some special trade positions that we use. So it's more of I don't know if I'm saying that right, but more of indirect costs related to the agency as a whole.
Yeah, a lot of our overhead.
Yeah,
costs.
so like thinking in the context of a private rental property management company, this would be kind of their in-house cost that they would then recoup through a management fee?
That is correct.
Okay. Backroom cost, if you will. Thank you.
I was trying to think of the word overhead. That's the word that was skipping my brain, but that's a better description. It's more overhead, not with some indirect costs.
The non-revenue generating roles.
What?
It's the non-revenue generating roles.
That's very necessary to
I
operate.
didn't say they weren't necessary, but
I said very necessary government. All right, any other questions on the central cost center? Okay, the next slide we're gonna look at is our business activities, which you may have heard us refer to as our local business activities. And this is more for redevelopment activities as well. So, skip ahead there. The total income across the top we're showing is 402,000. Total expenses at 556. thousand, and net income or net loss in this case of a negative 153.9. I am gonna start right with the net loss on this and draw your eye to the bond management fee. So we had budgeted for the year, $1 million in bond fees. Timing wise, some of these bonds did not close in the first quarter of reporting. So the actual, income that you're seeing there is related to the, application fees and the management fees of the bonds. But we did have some bonds that closed in the second quarter. So we now are totaling over 500,000 for bonds as of the last time I looked at it for the second quarter. So even though you're showing a deficit right now in income for the bond management fees, that will change in the next quarterly presentation. You mean skip that? That's it. I need to ask any questions. So does anyone have any questions on the business activity slide?
Old school. Are you expecting other bond closings this year in fourth quarter?
We are, I know there's some already scheduled to close. I'm looking at Jennifer tonight. Not August, September and October. I know some in October, but we are expecting to see more.
Just one comment on the employee line there, that our development team of 4, we started putting together a development team in 2023, from the middle of 2023. And the plan is for the first 3 years or so, they are being paid out of these business activities. And as we move forward and start developing and earning developer fee, that unit will be paid out of earnings from developer fee and related to development. So this should go down in a couple of years.
All right, any other questions?
Sure, we'll find a way to spend up your bond fees on something.
Especially on the
Are you saying-
non-revenue producers.
So you're saying the employee fees, they're gonna come out of future developments that we're a co-developer or something on? And
Yeah, when
towards
we're,
that?
yeah.
Okay, I got it.
All right, so the total RHA is just showing the previous slides in total. That's our RHA side of, the financials. And so we're showing a 5.65 million in income, about 5.25 million in expenses, and a total net income of about 405,000. Again, this slide is not showing the HAP portion or the amount that's paid to the landlords, as I had stated when we were looking at the voucher.
And annually, that amount is about $50 million currently.
Now, if there's any cuts to the program, as you know, I know nobody knows what's going on. Obviously, that will directly impact landlords and potentially residents. And we get administrative fees for some portion of that $50 million. So if
The administrative fee is separate, so that the administrative fee is included in that earlier.
But if for some reason the administration does cut
Right.
that program, then it will impact
Administrative.
admin fees at some point. I know, I don't want to alarm anybody. I know that was out there in the budget, but there's not been any clear indication that those cuts are going to happen, but.
Right.
So the next slide
Yes,
is
we
going
want
to actually
to
talk about some of these
Yes, we want to.
income items, or show the different types of income. Because you see on here, we've got tenant income, admin fee, subsidy income, and then other. Other can include, let me just go to the next slide. In that other, we've got some interest, some bond fees, I think some of the fee income makes up the other total. So this kind of just breaks down the different types of income that we see coming through. Any questions about the different types of fees? Or the incomes that we're receiving? All right. Are there any other questions at this time?
Just at some point in the future, when we do the end of the year presentation, we could get some like trends for past years, just to give us a sense of where our budget is relative to past years, and just to give us some idea of where we're trending. And
Okay.
this is great. I appreciate, I know it's a lot to simplify, but this has been the most accessible and understandable, at least for me. So I appreciate the hard work y'all did.
Yeah, Liz, I gotta say, this is the best presentation I've seen yet. I think I like the new format and really appreciate you putting this together for us.
Thank you.
Do these fees include admin fees and fees from CAD? When you say fees,
No, this is just a hard thing.
that's a whole separate, okay, that's what I was curious about.
So where,
Now, CAD fees the fees for service do go into the CCC. But it does, the management fees, oh yeah, the management fees go into the local, because they pay the local, so it was a part of this.
Okay.
For the income side, but you don't see the CAD expenses in these.
No, I didn't, I wasn't, I was just
Yeah, but
looking at
it is-
management fees alone.
It is actually,
yeah,
Okay.
we have a contract
Yes.
with all the, okay, yeah,
That's what I was thinking.
sorry,
that's bring the question up next time. If you think about it,
Yeah.
maybe breaking out the amount of fees we get from the CAD arrangement might be helpful, just to,
Mhm.
to add the fees,
or just to break it out, like how much,
how much that's coming from.
yeah, just out of curiosity.
That's why I was kind of starting to track that a little bit.
Okay, I'll do that, thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to the report of the Real Estate Investment Committee. Do we have a report?
Yeah, I'll just do a real short one. Thanks, Eric. Just by way of introduction, the Real Estate Investment Committee is comprised of myself, Joe Whitehouse, Arnie Morris, and Eric Braun oftentimes sits in on those meetings, but we had a small group on Friday the 15th when we met, just myself and Ashley, as well as staff. And I think materials elsewhere, including the great report that Katie did, covered some of this that we covered, and as well as Ashley's presentation. But I just note to you that Will Biggs gave us a detailed schedule for the RAD and Section 8 blend application schedule for Kentwood, Birchwood, Eachwood, and Mayview. Excuse me. And that was very educational. So I think that we've got a good plan going forward on that. And I think that's all I wanted to mention. However, I did want to encourage other board members to feel free to attend the Real Estate Investment Committee meetings. They're scheduled for monthly, 2 weeks before the board meeting on the Friday before 2 weeks before the board meeting. Other board members are invited to attend, like Eric has in the past, and I'd encourage your attendance. I think that's all that I have for comment. So that's my report. Thank you.
Next item is commissioner comments. So we'll open it up for any commissioners that have comments or questions.
This is Greg again. I first of all wanted to congratulate staff for getting Heritage Park funded with a 9% transaction. that was announced last week, I guess, and that was great work. And so we're going to be moving forward with presumably a 4% bond application early next year for the balance of the phase one at Heritage. So congratulations to all of the good work that was done to get that funding. I also observed that in the awards that were announced by the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, that there were roughly 20 bond deals funded across the state, and 10 of those were in Raleigh. So we're going to see a lot of bond transactions, but the only other two towns that had more than one bond deal funded were Durham, which had two, and Winston-Salem, which had two. And I'm curious as to whether or not we're going to be overbuilding on bond transactions, which oftentimes are not subsidized. That some of these transactions may not work without significant public subsidy, and I don't think there's a significant subsidy available to support all these transactions. Susan, do you have any thoughts about this? I know you watch this very carefully. Are we going to get overfunded with bond transactions?
I am watching it and I'm also concerned. I don't think yet, but I suspect we're just kind of a little bit ahead of the game as far as understanding bond inducement. And as you know, when we have presented the bonds to the authority board, you know, there's no recourse to the authority on these. We are going to be okay on these. I think there's so much need in the Raleigh area that as long as we're careful about developers coming back for more bonds, you know, we need to keep them within budget. We've seen that a lot in transactions that we've been working on that have already been funded, that all of a sudden the bonds aren't enough. So their first line is to come back to, you know, the bond issuer and say, hey, I need another $3 million or 10 million ever. And that is what I'm seeing, is that they under budgeted for the transaction in the first place. That's really all I've honestly noticed, is there's been some sort of just way under budgeted, and then they're inevitably coming back. That probably accounts for some of these things that have not closed yet, because they had to go back and get further funds. And that's what's made our you know, first two quarters look like it's low. Haven't seen it yet. I wish that some of the other cities would participate more. I'm surprised we're not seeing any more in Charlotte, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I think my point was not that the housing authority is at risk, is that just that in the general market as a whole, I'm not sure that we can support all of these bond transactions if they do go forward.
I think we're still okay, because there's not that many other types of housing going out, Mark, you know what I mean, that has any kind of bond subsidy for now. We need to keep an eye on it, but I certainly appreciate what you're talking about. I just think the city's booming so much that we're not behind yet. We're doing more than any other city, and I think that's not just bonds, that's
right.
city.
Right.
So one of the things that we are looking at over the next 2 years, especially as there'll be, you know, far less gap financing from the city and the county until there's a new bond issuance. So there will be deals that will not go forward because of lack of gap financing. And that's where we are planning to step in with project-based vouchers that will make some of those deals pencil. And so we are actively reaching out to developers to talk to them about opportunities to partner with us. And then some of those units that they are developing will become replacement housing with project-based vouchers for the public housing that we will be repositioning. And so we'll need to replace all of the units one for one with subsidized units. And so that's part of our strategy, is to work with these developers who are putting 4% deals you know, out there, and they may need our project-based vouchers to make sure that those deals pencil. And then that way we will also have people who are below 30% area median income occupy the units.
Use that leverage. I think that's exciting, that we can use our ability to provide gap financing to leverage the subsidies to the individuals in the complex.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a great approach.
I do too. I'm excited about that.
Other comments of other commissioners?
That's fine.
I had one question and I forgot to bring it up on the consent agenda. I just noticed that on the vacancy report.
Mhm.
CAD's vacancy was a little bit lower than ours on several of their properties. Do you?
You mean the percentage vacancies?
Yeah,
Yes,
their rate was 94% versus ours was almost 97. I was just curious, there's a couple that had 92% occupancy.
right, so Sonia can probably provide more detail, but in the summer, especially, we get vacancies in the one-bedroom apartments in the market rate, the affordable market rate units, and there's a substantial number right now that we're trying to reoccupy. So this is traditionally a time when the occupancy goes down. Percentage wise, between CAD and Housing Authority units, we did, because Glenwood is now, we've received a commitment to enter into a housing assistance payment agreement with HUD. So those, we're not reoccupying any units and in fact, losing units substantially. But we've taken Glenview out of the equation, and Glenview currently has somewhere around 56 units vacant out of the 288. So that has depressed our overall occupancy rate, but that's why we're now around 97, because the impact of the Glenwood units no longer have an effect. Now, we do still have Kentwood, which is our next highest priority for RAD repositioning. Also mainly through plumbing issues there. We've had vacancies and we've had to relocate people off site, and right now there are over 20 units vacant there that we don't want to spend lots of capital dollars on just to move people out once we get RAD approval. So, and if you wanted to add anything, Sonia.
No, I agree. And we also use this time to upgrade and improve the apartments while they're vacant.
Great, thank you. Unless there are other comments from any commissioners, we'll move on to new business, which is resolution number 51, if I'm correct.
So Jennifer Morgan, our Director of Strategic Initiatives, has looked forward to this all day.
Yes. All right, resolution is the inducement resolution for 23.5 million in multifamily housing revenue bonds for Garner Station Apartments located at approximately 2407 and 2501 Garner Road in Raleigh. Atlantic Housing Foundation is the developer for this property, and per state statute, RHA is the issuer for these bonds. They are non-recourse bonds, so if the developer were to default on these bonds, RHA is not financially responsible. Garner Station will include 141 new rental homes for families on 7 acres, including 15 one-bedroom units, 90 two-bedroom units, and 36 three-bedroom units. These homes will serve households earning between 20 to 70% area median income, with 19 of those units serving families between 20 to 30% AMI. Per the requirements of the 4% housing tax credits, the development will also be required to accept housing choice vouchers. The proposed rents will range from $391 to $1,880. The total project is approximately $41 million, including funding from bonds, 4% tax credits, funding from the city of Raleigh, and deferred developer fee. The developer is willing to include a preference in their tenant selection plan for RHA residents displaced due to redevelopment. This has been reviewed by RHA's legal counsel with no exceptions, and I would recommend approval. Rob with Atlantic Housing Foundation is on the Zoom call if there are any questions.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 51. Gwen?
Eric Braun,
Yes.
Evan Covington Chavez,
Yes.
Valerie Crutchfield,
Yes.
Susan Ellinger,
I recuse myself.
Greg Warren,
Yes.
the White House.
Yes,
Resolution number 51 has been adopted.
That brings us to resolution number 52.
This resolution is the inducement resolution for up to 38.5 million in multifamily housing revenue bonds for Joyfield at Compassionate Drive located at 2340 Compassionate Drive in Raleigh. Standard Communities is developer for this property. Per state statute, RHA is the issuer for these bonds. They are non-recourse bonds, so if the developer were to default on these bonds, RHA is not financially responsible. Joyfield at Compassionate Drive is a 200-unit family property with 72 one-bedroom units, 82 bedroom units, and 48 three-bedroom units. The community will consist of three to 4 story elevator buildings on 9.8 acres. The property will serve residents with incomes at or below 60% AMI and is required to accept housing choice vouchers due to a requirement of the 4% tax credits. Contract rents will range from $1,422 to $1,962. The total project is approximately $59.5 million, including funding from bonds, 4% tax credits, and deferred developer fee. The developer is willing to include a preference in their tenant selection plan for RHA residents displaced due to redevelopment. This has been reviewed by RHA's legal counsel with no exceptions, and I would recommend approval. Caitlin with Standard Communities is on the Zoom call if there are any questions.
Do you have any questions regarding resolution number 52? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion.
motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Gwen?
Eric Braun,
Yes.
Evan Covington Chavez,
Yes.
Valerie Crutchfield,
Yes.
Susan Ellinger,
Yes.
Greg Warren,
Yes.
the White House.
Yes,
Resolution number 52 has been adopted.
That brings us to resolution number 53.
This resolution serves as the inducement resolution for up to 80.2 million in multifamily housing revenue bonds for a proposed development referred to as Tryon Road Family, located at 1604 and 1610 Tryon Road in Raleigh. Dominium is the developer for this property. Per state statute, Raleigh Housing is the issuer for these bonds. They are non-recourse bonds, meaning RHA bears no financial responsibility if the developer defaults. The development will consist of 370 units on 22 acres. The unit mix includes 48 one-bedroom units, 72 two-bedroom units, 158 three-bedroom units, and 92 four-bedroom units. The property will serve households earning up to 60% of the area median income, with rents ranging between $1,390 to $2,128. The property will accept housing choice vouchers as required by the 4% tax credit program. The total development cost is estimated at approximately $144 million, funded through a combination of bonds, tax credits, and deferred developer fee. The developer has also agreed to include a preference in the tenant selection plan for RHA residents displaced due to redevelopment efforts. This proposal has been reviewed by RHA's legal counsel with no exceptions, and I recommend approval. Ryan with Dominium is available on the call to answer any questions.
Are there any questions regarding resolution number 53? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
I moved to approve it.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
A second.
Gwen?
Eric Braun,
Yes.
Evan Covington Chavez,
Yes.
Valerie Crutchfield,
Yes.
Susan Ellinger,
Yes.
Greg Warren,
Yes.
the White House.
yes,
Resolution number 53 has been adopted.
Thank you. That brings us to resolution number 54.
All right. In April 2025, the RHA Board of Commissioners approved the inducement resolution for up to 40 million in multifamily housing revenue bonds for Union at Capital. The resolution today for the issuance and sale of the multifamily housing revenue bonds for Union at Capital is for 63 million. The additional 23 million is in taxable bonds and will be used as short-term bonds during the construction period. Union at Capital is a 195 unit multifamily residential development located at 3600 Lee Road in Raleigh. The Annex Group is the developer of this property. The property includes 64 one-bedroom units, 72 two-bedroom units, and 59 three-bedroom units, with all units serving residents at 60% AMI. Also, as a requirement of the tax credits, the property is required to accept housing choice vouchers. The total project is approximately $63 million, including funding from bonds, 4% tax credits, bond investment income, and deferred developer fee. The developer is willing to include a preference in their tenant selection plan for RHA residents displaced due to redevelopment. With this resolution, you are approving the CEO, chair, and/or vice chair to execute any documents related to the issuance of the multifamily housing revenue bonds. This has been reviewed by RHA's legal counsel with no exceptions, and I recommend approval. And a representative with the Annex Group is on the call if there are any questions.
Do you have any questions regarding resolution number 54? Hearing none, I'll entertain motions.
Motion to approve, Greg Warren.
Second. Have a motion and a second. Gwen?
Eric Braun,
Yes.
Evan Covington Chavez. Evan,
Yes.
okay, thank you. Valerie Crutchfield,
Yes.
Susan Ellinger,
Yes.
Greg Warren,
Yes.
Joe Whitehouse. Joe Whitehouse,
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
resolution number 54 has been adopted.
Brings us to resolution number 55.
This resolution is also related to the multifamily housing revenue bonds for Union at Capital. This resolution is to approve the finance team. This resolution is required by the North Carolina Local Government Commission. This has been reviewed by RHA's legal counsel with no exceptions, and I recommend approval.
Any questions for regarding resolution number 55?
Motion to approve.
Have a second.
Greg Warren.
Okay, Eric Braun,
Yes.
Evan Covington Chavez,
Yes.
Valerie Crutchfield,
Yes.
Susan Ellinger,
Yes.
Greg Warren,
Yes.
Joe Whitehouse.
Yes.
Resolution 55 has been adopted.
And Eric, before we get to resolution number 56, I did want to mention a question the board's had several times over the bonds is the right of first refusal, adding that. And so I did discuss that with Charles, and we will add that to the application. We won't make it a requirement for the issuance of the bonds, but we will include it kind of like we do the tenant selection plan. If they want to be, allows to have the right of first refusal. And then if so, it'll go into the bond documents and through the inducement resolution and all of that. So,
Great. I had a note I was going to ask about again. Thank you.
so
May not turn out into anything for 20 years, but 30 years.
yes.
Well, are you gonna make it a priority? Like if somebody says, yes, I will accept a right of first refusal versus, no, I don't want a right of first refusal?
Yes,
Is that what-
especially where we're issuing, because the issuance of the bonds is not a competitive process.
Right,
But if
right.
they're also requesting project-based vouchers from us,
Okay,
then that's where we can, allot points to that in the evaluation
I see.
criteria. And so it'll, be on a case-by-case basis. As Charles said, sometimes it'll depend on if it's for-profit or not for-profit. Sometimes they, go in together for that tax benefit, and that nonprofit might have the right of first refusal. So, but yeah, so we'll apply points where we can.
That may be true, but very often the nonprofit in the tax exemption structures, they have a very short window to
Right,
act on the right. It might be an idea, we don't have to waste everybody's time, but to have a catch-all below that, because sometimes the nonprofit isn't gonna be able to step up, that sort of thing, and pay whatever that right of first refusal is. And
I
we
don't
may,
know enough about it, but if we can do it legitimately and appropriately,
and that's absolutely complete. The big challenge we have is with the investors. That's where there's nothing wrong with it, but they want to make sure they have a lot of leeway during the course of the transaction.
well, I appreciate all of us considering it and handling it the best way we can.
It's great.
So that brings us to resolution number 56 related to Glenwood Towers.
On July 7th, 2025, HUD issued RHA a commitment to enter into a housing assistance payments contract, otherwise known as a CHAP, for Glenwood Towers, a 288-unit high-rise reserved for elderly and disabled residents. The issuance of the CHAP is the first step in the RAD Section 18 blend process. Prior to submitting the RAD application, RHA held several meetings with Glenwood Towers residents to inform them of the RAD process. The presentation mentioned that replacement housing could involve building new off-site units, relocating to an existing property, or a combination of both. As a result, some residents may choose to voluntarily relocate before the formal relocation notice is issued, which may not happen until 2026 at the earliest. Also, as Ashley mentioned, RHA has observed a rise in physical issues at Glenwood Towers, particularly with the aging piping system, which has resulted in more frequent leaks. Therefore, if a unit is determined to have a physical deficiency that renders it unsafe, the resident may be issued a voucher if a comparable public housing unit is unavailable. The Section 8 administrative plan provides a local preference, not only for families that have been displaced, but also to families that will be displaced due to governmental action as directed by the RHA Board of Commissioners. Approval of this resolution serves as the governmental action to allow Glenwood Towers residents to receive a preference, which will bring them to the top of the waiting list for the voucher program and allow them to relocate as units and vouchers are available. I recommend approval, and I'm glad to answer any questions.
I did want to ask, and it looks like it's in here, but that I think the last paragraph relates to authorizing the CEO to develop incentives to encourage residents to move if we need to do that as well. So I want to make sure that we make it as seamless and as easy for the residents to accept opportunities to move and relocate. And given the troubles we're having in Glenwood with all the issues, I think it would make beneficial. So I appreciate y'all doing that.
We do have partners in the community that do have vacant units, tax credit properties, and there's a tax credit property that will start leasing on the 1st of November or thereabout. So we've been in contact with them. So they have 132 units, most of them one bedroom. So we'll start developing relationships either through just tenant-based vouchers or project-based vouchers with them.
And are one bedroom units kind of what the most in demand for that those residents?
Yeah, it's mostly one bedroom units. Now, residents could occupy 2 bedroom units as long as the contract rent doesn't exceed, or as long as the contract rent, yes, doesn't exceed the 1 bedroom payment standard that they qualify for. So.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
Does the relocation act apply?
What?
You're gonna be paying for the relocation when they.
Yeah, we'll pay for the relocation for, relocation, moving costs, utility hookups.
Okay, that's
yeah.
good. Yeah, I'm like Eric, I just wanna make sure they're covered, and this is, even if you're
Essentially-
moving from Glenwood Towers, that's their home and they're moving to it. That's difficult sometimes,
So
so.
essentially, the residents won't experience any direct financial impact.
Right.
Maybe some inconvenience, but can't help that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But it sounds like y'all have done strong outreach program with the residents, and one indication of that is, at least I haven't received any emails about concerns, so it's usually a good sign that people find us when they want to if they're worried about something. So it sounds like y'all have done a great job.
And we have our, relocation team in place, RHA staff as part of the Resident Services Department. And as most of you board members know, if not all, that relocation team is receiving a National Innovation Award for the relocation that they did at Heritage Park. And so that's in October, and that to another good experience with the relocation program. Will be even better this time, right, Laura?
Well, that, given that we hadn't done a relocation in 25 years, probably. Or
12 years.
12, was it just 12?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's fantastic that the first one in recent times gets a national award, so unfortunately, it's not much to improve upon on that, but we hope you can do as good as you did this time on.
Well, there is another step above that, because the nomination has also now been forwarded to what they refer to as a National Award of Excellence. So there's only 24 of those awards nationally, and so that program might get, or that achievement might get the highest award that's available for housing.
Well, I'm worried then you won't have anything to shoot for.
Next year.
So hopefully you'll get it for Heritage Park, but if you don't, we expect you to get the national award for Glenwood Towers.
Well, the Section 8, utilization increased from 91% to 101%. That's also up for a national award of excellence. So it could be two. So
Is that all happening in October?
all happening in October.
Well, I know you'll let us know. So congratulations on that. That's great achievement.
So somewhere.
I think we're now to, did we? Have we
No vote.
voted on that? We have
need
not
to
voted
vote.
on it. Okay. So sorry. We need to take a vote on
56.
resolution 56. Sorry, all this good news going around. I got distracted. I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 56.
I second it.
You have a motion, a second, Gwen?
Eric Braun,
Yes.
Evan Covington Chavez,
Yes.
Valerie Crutchfield,
Yes.
Susan Allinger,
Yes.
Greg Warren,
Yes.
White House.
Yes.
Resolution number 56 has been adopted.
All right, that brings us to resolution number 57.
Yes, Raleigh Housing Authority provides our quality affordable housing for low-income families in our public housing program. There are times when we have to do extensive maintenance, and during that time, there are often opportunities for us to provide temporary lodging for a family that may not have a family or friend to stay with while we do the extensive repair. In the past, I have used extended stay type of hotels so that there's a capability of cooking your own meals and still have that apartment style feel, and it's a nominal price. I unfortunately have found that it is not always an appropriate environment for my residents as a temporary lodging. And Raleigh Housing Authority, at its discretion, we do assume these costs, and we also can cap the amount. In a way to also leverage and strengthen our affiliation with CAD, I have available an appropriate comparable style apartment that is owned by CAD in our Chavis Heights community, and I am proposing that we offer that in a mutual beneficial arrangement between Raleigh Housing Authority and CAD as a temporary lodging for our family. It is a 2-bedroom, handicap accessible on the bus line, and it would definitely meet the needs of a family that's just temporarily away from their apartment while we're conducting their maintenance. The MOU is attached to the resolution. It has been reviewed by our legal counsel. We have reviewed regulations in regards to our public housing program, and I recommend approval.
Do we have any questions I just have a comment. When I was relocating from Greensboro to here, Erica and I stayed an extended stay for 30 days with 2 cats, and it's quite challenging. So I think that this is for a family that doesn't work for, this seems like a great opportunity. So
Yeah, it'll save us money as well, and I think it's just gonna be a better environment. We'll furnish it and they'll have what they have, close to what they have at home.
well, great. I think that sounds great. Any other questions? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion for resolution number 57.
Motion to approve?
Gwen?
Eric Braun,
Yes.
Evan Covington Chavez,
yes,
Valerie Crutchfield,
Yes.
Susan Ellinger.
Yes.
Greg Warren,
Yes,
White House.
Yes.
Resolution number 57 has been adopted.
That brings us to resolution number 58.
Murphy School Apartments is a 46-unit mod rehab Section 8 property that is owned by Murphy School LLC. Their 15-year contract expired in 2005. Since that time, RHA annually requests to seek renewal funding from HUD. The current contract extension expires in December of 2025, and the LLC has asked RHA to pursue another year from HUD. This resolution authorizes staff to draft a letter to HUD seeking approval for an estimated just over $330,000 for app payments and admin fees. If approved, it is also authorizing RHA to requisition the additional funding needed to cover these units through the end of the current fiscal year ending March 31st, 2026. Are there any questions? And if not, I would recommend approval.
I've got a question. This may be dumb. I know we've done this a number of years. When it's talks about there were 104 units originally under contract, and now there are only 46. What happened to the other ones? Again, this may be a dumb question.
It's not, and I may ask Ms. Batts, I think she's on but I think as the units become vacant, that we cannot renew them. But Ms. Batts, can you just confirm how that program works?
Well, what happens, once if they had to do some renovations there, which reduced the number that we had. And it's been such a long time that we've had that total number that you have to, so we haven't had as many as on that contract in a while, but it has been because of a lot of them didn't come back on as the for the Murphy School contract, and it ended up with what we have currently. So
this is Greg Warren. I might be able to help. Priscilla, this is a DHIC property that was renovated in 1990. And I think the Section 8 mod rehab contract was initially 52 units. What do we show in the resolution? How many units?
The resolution is, it was originally for 104, now there's only 46 remaining.
I don't think there were ever 104 units there that were under the mod rehab contract. I think there were no more than 52, if I'm not mistaken.
I guess my question is, the units didn't disappear. They're still there. They're
It's
just.
not section 8, they're not a section 8 now.
No. Well, there was a renovation done where we did get rid of like 3 or 4 units, but there was never more than 52 units, Eric.
I was trying to remember if there was a second mod rehab program. I'm sure my accounting manager would know this because this has been her program for a number of years. I can get that answer and follow up, but
I was really just curious. They're just, once they're out of this program, they just become rental units for the community.
Right.
And just-
I believe there's like 1 or 2 or 3 units that are not under mod rehab, but basically the unit count has not really significantly changed, if that's your concern, Eric. It was
Okay,
52
that's
units
really-
initially.
really
It's maybe 48 now.
We gotta figure out where the 104 came from.
Okay, that's fine. That's
yeah. I'm correct.
So other than that clarification at some point, and if there aren't any other questions, I would move approval of resolution number 58. Your second?
Evan. Okay, Eric Braun,
Yes.
Evan Covington Chavez,
Yes.
Valerie Crutchfield,
Yes.
Susan Ellinger.
Yes.
Greg Warren,
Yes.
Whitehouse.
Yes.
Resolution number 58 has been adopted.
That is just to the end of the agenda. Right.
Got discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please discussion.
I lost my agenda. Katie, I definitely don't want to steal your thunder. I'm sorry.
And that was.
My name is Katie Brotto. I'm the communications manager here at Raleigh Housing Authority. This presentation was created to share with the board and the public an overview of communications. If you've seen our strategic plan and communications initiatives, you'll know that they're very comprehensive and detailed. And so I won't try to cover it all in this presentation, but rather I'll give a sample of what we've done to engage our stakeholders over the past 24 months that I've been here. And here are 4 takeaways that I hope you will get from my presentation. The first one is our strategic goals. In what ways do the strategic plan goals and the communication initiatives plan that? Building the brand. How have we enabled our communication efforts and branding to evolve? Stakeholders, who are we speaking to? Who are we reaching, and what are the results of those communication efforts? And how do we measure that effectiveness? So just as a quick reminder, I'm not going to read all these, but these are the 5 strategic goals for Raleigh Housing Authority. These were instrumental in the creation of our communication and strategic engagement plan, as they overlap and work together to create a clear path forward for our initiatives. And those were used to create these communication goals. The first one is to promote understanding of and support for RHA's mission, vision, and programs among all of our stakeholders. And we measure this by surveying various and specific groups of stakeholders annually so that we can gauge our public perception. Ensure clear, meaningful, and respectful engagement with staff and RHA's primary stakeholders, and those are residents and participants. And we do this by increasing the number of opportunities for focus groups, events, and other methods of two-way engagement. And again, we follow that up by request for feedback. The third is to build trust and sustainable partnerships with all stakeholders through a variety of efforts. So we connect with our community through our agencies and partners using various outreach efforts. And we've increased the amount of news that we share. We provide regular updates through various marketing channels. And again, we analyze the results of the engagement that hold us accountable to these goals. The fourth is to develop and communicate accurate information about Raleigh's housing needs, and this provides a strong long-term connection from RHA to the public regarding housing. And the last one is to create regular ongoing opportunities for RHA to listen to and receive feedback from all of our stakeholder groups. So we aim to have a reputation that we listen and that we're open to feedback. Our new website offers ways for visitors to connect with all RHA departments, and it provides the public with more resources, more information, and then answers to frequently asked questions. So the first item in my timeline here is basic foundations. The first year of our communications efforts was really setting that basic foundation for RHA to have communication. By utilizing platforms on social media like Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, RHA has been able to connect with a broader audience, share timely updates, and engage our stakeholders in real-time discussions. This proactive approach fosters community involvement and increases awareness of our initiative.
The other thing that was on my plate that first few months was to add information about the Heritage Park relocation. The pages were created to inform residents and public stakeholders of the redevelopment activities that started in the fall of 2023. And finally, bringing polish to the RHA brand. This was accomplished through a series of communication collateral efforts to provide a consistent appearance for RHA. And that included email signatures, templates for PowerPoint and Word, other documents, virtual meeting backgrounds, and more things just to provide that cohesive look. This is an example of one of our old previous websites. The following year was building the brand. Last year, we undertook a rebranding initiative with Brasco Marketing to modernize our image and better reflect our mission. So the first thing we did was to implement a comprehensive strategic communications plan, and that has significantly helped to enhance our visibility and engagement. The new logo and brand color palette were created with the intention of providing a calming and inviting experience for our clients. We did a nice long study discussing what our needs were and what we were trying to accomplish by this new look. By developing these clear brand standards, we ensure consistency across all our communications and marketing materials. We can establish a strong identity, and this makes us easily recognizable in the public and more trustworthy. The new marketing materials enabled us to present ourselves more professionally and effectively. These materials not only convey important information, but also, again, enhance our image. The next thing I worked on was some internal communications to bring staff together. So this included a new SharePoint communications page where people can go to find all the resources they need, like logos, templates, backgrounds, and things. We also have a Teams virtual water cooler channel for sharing news and an internal newsletter. I also began a new employee profile series. I found that there were a lot of people I didn't know here, and so I thought, why not interview them? So I started doing a little profile series for new employees, and those get posted in various places. We also hit a pretty big milestone on LinkedIn last year. And in partnership with the IT department, we rolled out a new .gov URL, and that domain name provides us with both a stronger identity and more security. This year was the theme, expanding our voice. We worked for more than a year to launch our new website with a fresh new look that's easier to navigate and to find your housing assistance program information. We had a new video that we launched that showcases our resident stories, our partnership with CIS, communities and schools, and provides a nice overview of the Raleigh Housing Authority. And then for the website, we added user-way accessibility, and we felt that that was very important to meet the needs of anyone who visited our website, no matter their language or any disability they may have. I was in the process of arranging an interview with the Triangle Business Journal to discuss Heritage Park, and this led to an invitation for Ashley to participate. They had an executive voice series, and he had a nice profile feature. We also produced 2 additional videos. One was on vibrant communities, and that featured a resident who was relocated with the Heritage Park neighborhood. And the other one focused on thriving customers and elevating our customer experience. We also had the public housing waiting list that opened. Marketing that started in early May, and it went through the second week of June. And those weeks provided RHA with one of our highest response I can, calculate for any campaign that we've had so far. So there's a lot of attention given to that and a lot of different ways that we marketed that. And finally, we reached more great milestones this year so far for our online audiences, post impressions, and being able to increase our visibility. All right, now I'll show you some examples. So a few months ago, we began sending the board a quick summary of the team's activities so they could have information in between meetings and keep everyone up to date and informed. And then in December of 2023 is when I started the first issue of the RHA Recap. That's an internal newsletter devoted to staff kudos, program updates, team building activities, and things like that. And then in between these longer quarterly messages, I also send emails that feature staff birthdays, work anniversaries, and other good news topics so that we can show encouragement and appreciation to our staff. And here's just an example of the water cooler channel on Teams. So pretty much anybody can share any topic that might be of interest to staff. And this one is our Relay for Life. The latest addition to our internal communications is video messages from the CEO. We've recorded about 9 videos so far, and we have plenty more ideas in the pipeline. And the response from staff has been overwhelmingly positive. The most recent video was targeted to directors, managers, and supervisors, And the analytics that I checked show that it appears to have been viewed by everybody who received it. So. And now I'll go on to talk about our external stakeholders. As we were preparing the communications plan, one of the first steps was to establish who's our audience, what is our messaging for each group, and then determine what channels were best for each. I'll show examples for each one of these again. So some examples for our resident include an informational email that followed a letter from Duke Energy. So that was just reiterating information they already received. Sharing about summer camps in an email, following up from a resident meeting with a flyer in an email. So the ICYMI is in case you missed it. We have a theme for that whenever we do an event that's important for residents, we follow up with a flyer. This one also introduced our new resident services department. It provided a way for them to give us feedback, and they could also download this as a PDF as well. And finally, that last flyer was to help residents and participants to save money on utility bills. For applicants, this past June, as I mentioned, we opened up select public housing waiting lists. We ran a comprehensive campaign posting in local publications. We shared on our website, and the list for that was updated daily during the time we were accepting the applications. We also posted a lot on social media. We emailed both our existing database and a new group of interested families. So when we first closed our list back on October 23, I made a list available for folks to sign up who wanted to be notified. It grew to nearly 8,000 emails before I closed it, because I couldn't maintain that capacity after that point. We also marketed to our Spanish-speaking audience. We shared translated flyers, and we added a public notice in Que Pasa, a local publication. So enhancing resident communications has also been another key accomplishment. We really want to focus on improving information flow and engagement with residents. We want to show that we're there to collaborate with our residents, that we want to share our supportive services, and we also offer opportunities for them to engage. So I've been working a lot with resident services the past year to provide more informational flyers and be sure they're aware of events. The increase in communications about subjects that are important to our residents has contributed to operational efficiency and increased resident satisfaction. And we found that these regular updates have resulted in positive feedback from both residents and our partners. So featured on the right here is a post showing Arts Together. They're one of our service partners, and I'm a member of Women Who Give a Hoot, who's a local charity that picks different charities to support every quarter. So the members give money, and then we have 3 charities that do a presentation, and just about a coincidence, our partner Arts Together was the winner one of the night I went. Landlord communications has drastically increased over the past year. Working with Benita Wilson, Leased Housing Inspections Manager, we've started an effort to build a comprehensive learning experience for our landlords. We've made updates to the website, provided guides for the new online portal via emails. We've also shared recordings of trainings. We also seek to reach other partners, such as with the release of RFPs and RFQs. This is primarily through the LinkedIn communications. We also share posts about our involvement in bond issuances and new developments. I found that these are by far the most popular and receive the most interaction. So one of the things we want to share with this is that with our financial standing and resources, we can lead the way in acquiring properties that remain affordable for generations. And finally, local and county government. Again, you're going to see LinkedIn here because it really has been the best platform for a lot of my communications, including the local and county government external communications. And we often share photos of meetings or events that we host with government representatives, and RHA staff is great at reposting these, helping us to increase our reach and exposure online. And just last month, we sent our first community email newsletter that was specifically targeted to this audience. The On the Move newsletter was sent to RHA staff, board, our service providers, local city and county government, and our redevelopment partners. And we're also proud to have these opportunities for co-branding when our partners are reaching out to request feedback from the public or to share about their services. The next audience is potential new hires for RHA. So reaching potential hires for us is critical to keeping good organizational health. And one way we do this is by regularly updating the careers page of our website. So we have a listing of different jobs by subject. And we also are responsive to our Google reviews. I've also been sharing a series of new employee profiles that I mentioned earlier. These have been great for both internal recognition as well as external communications. They get shared on social media and our website on the news and press page, which is what you do, right? We regularly send out resident surveys to gather feedback on our communications efforts. These help us reflect on effectiveness, respect shown by staff to our customers, and how much our residents value being kept informed. And all of these are key indicators of our overall satisfaction for annual reviews. We're currently finalizing a new stakeholder survey, which is similar to the one that we issued prior to our strategic planning efforts. This will ask for feedback on the new branding, the new website, and other indicators of positive perception of RHA. And by sharing our public meetings on social channels on the right, what I understand was typically zero attendance increased to a few members who attended both in-person and virtual meetings. So I consider that a win. We also recently had a Parkview Manor resident bring to our attention that the bus stop directly in front of that community building is no longer in service due to a route change. So we reached out and met with members of the transportation department with the city of Raleigh to discuss these changes. They actually attended a resident event yesterday to share Go Raleigh transportation options. They also have Access, which is a door-to-door service. So that's helpful and an ideal solution for those who may have trouble walking to the bus stops. And the building that they went to visit is elderly and disabled. We're also working with them to relocate a new bus stop. So on the Halifax Community Center, which is pictured here on the left, they made a new stop a little bit further down, and we discussed moving it closer to the corner next to the ball field, because that's good for future. And also because we are a housing authority, there's a preference that allows us to get amenities without additional approval steps. So they're taking steps to move the bench and shelter from the closed stop to here. It may take a while, but that'll be a good positive thing as well. And then our new website contact form there on the right directs people directly to appropriate departments. And that eliminated a previous step where a person had to forward emails to different folks. One good way to track success of my communications is by using analytics. To create the quarterly social media report that I send to staff on the board, I track about 40 data points monthly across 8 different platforms. And then I use that information to analyze where do we do well and where can I improve. And while we are trending upwards, you can imagine that when I tried to create charts using all that data, it didn't really show a good picture. It's kind of all over the place. So for example, when I share a post that gets a lot of attention, you're going to see the stats go up, of course, and multiply our exposure, but then they're going to go back down to normal the next month until we hit another milestone. So I wanted to point out this post on the left has had a lot of good life on it. I posted, I think this is about a year old. Again, this is about a new neighborhood bond resolution, and the statistics I think have doubled since I first posted. So they have a nice long shelf life, the ones that have different partners tagged, and different folks going to learn about housing options. On the right side is statistics about our open rate for email. That's one thing that's really been consistent and steady. I find that the regular newsletters are really important. They keep people informed, and we're able to send those out fairly quickly. We've seen a consistent open rate of above 50% for all of our emails, which as you can see is higher than average, which shows we have a really nice engaged audience. Another way to gauge is by doing a looking at a public review platform like Google. Positive reviews build public trust, they show transparency, and help establish our credibility. So those come in on a regular basis, and I do my best to respond immediately, and if I can't personally respond, I get the answer from a staff member. This highlights what's working for us and where improvements might be needed, provides us with really good feedback directly. And I'm highlighting 2023 just to show the year that Ashley and I started here. That's all I have. I hope the presentation has provided you with a good picture of our strategic communications plan, how our initiatives are created, and how I monitor them. Are there any questions?
Yes. Well, first comment, this is all great. And that you've done a fantastic job raising the visibility of the agency. So and I see LinkedIn, we get a lot of, or you get a lot of engaged engagement indications there, so I'm happy with all of that. And I know it's not easy, so, one area that I have noticed, Glassdoor. My wife is in HR, and I do understand that that's kind of a place that people go. And I looked at it recently, and it's not where we've, and maybe there's a reason that it's not the place to go, but the information that where people have made comments, it's all older and it's not positive. And so I don't know how all this stuff works, but there might be an opportunity to, maybe encourage people to give reviews. And then the only other thing, I know that when I attended some of our community meetings and whether it's members of the public or residents have appreciated, like when commissioners attend and they don't know who we are and they like to meet us. So I was going to suggest maybe in your newsletters, if you could include maybe spotlights for individual commissioners, just to let people know that who we are and that we're out there. Because people have come up to me and have just been, not because it's me, but just, hey, it's great to meet somebody. We hear about you all, but we don't know who you are and that kind of stuff. So just a suggestion, if I know that content, I do a newsletter for other things. I know content is always hard. Y'all probably have no trouble generating content, but just a suggestion that you might consider. Otherwise, this has been great. I really appreciate all the hard work y'all have done. Other comments or questions from other commissioners?
I'm just going to second what Eric said. I think when I first became a commissioner, we were pretty much sort of in the dark, and you brought us a long way. Our public engagement and our awareness in the public is doing very well, and I just appreciate all the hard work and to sort of let the public know about all the great things that are going on here. So thank you very much.
We've definitely have a good team working really hard here.
Are we participating in the North Carolina Housing Conference here at the end of September?
I'm attending, but I don't have any other.
I would recommend anybody who is interested in housing in North Carolina attend. It's great to attend. Like, it's really exciting to talk to all the different people that are brainstorming. It's the 29th, 30th, and the lunch is being sponsored by the Women's Affordable Housing Network. Yay. And it's going to be a great opportunity, and Mayor Cowell will be the speaker. So I think that'll be a fun opportunity to shake hands with people.
And I think that the early registration deadline was today.
But
I'm
it's tomorrow. But are you
planning on registering and going. For some reason, I'm on all kinds of newsletter or mailing lists for everything, but I didn't get anything through that. I got it through third-hand forwarding of an email, but I definitely would encourage other commissioners to attend if they can. But I'm planning on it.
Me too. I'll be there too. It's a great opportunity.
I am too. And again, Katie, I think your presentation was great and the work that you're doing is great. It's such a refreshing change from when I first arrived at the Housing Authority, when the whole mode was keep your head down low and don't try and get out there in the public. I mean, this is just great work, and I'm so happy to see the change that the Housing Authority has made, not only through your leadership, but through everybody's hard work, including Ashley's.
I'll second. Yeah, it's been exciting to see. It's been exciting to see this.
Yeah, this is Evan. I just think it looks very professional. It looks like a group that you would want to work with, that you'd want to partner with and be invested in. Very well put together. I just think the professional is the best way to describe the way that everything presents. It's just great.
Well, I think I'm not leaving anything else off of the agenda on. All right, well, unless there are any other comments or closing remarks, we can go ahead and get home and have dinner. I appreciate everybody's time as always. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.